right here, man. Trig, man, I know everybody has seen what you've done for our culture, especially in the Christian hip hop community with Holy Culture. But I want people to know the man behind the scenes. I want people to get to talk to you. I mean, and get to know you, get to know your background, how you got to Holy Culture and everything. But let's talk about North Philly Trig growing up. What was that like?
North Philly Trig growing up. Wow, man. I was wow. Where do I start? So when I was younger, I wore these really thick glasses. I don't know why that's the first thing that comes to mind, man. Wow. Why is that the first thing that comes to mind?
You had them gazelle glasses?
I mean, them thick Johns. No, we didn't have the money for the cool Johns. They were just thick because I had a really bad left eye, man. And so I was kind of I don't want to say the odd kid out, but I was always kind of more to myself. You know what I mean? Some kids would pick on me, but whatever. As when I was like 14-ish, I really got interested in music. You know, Philly had, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Cash Money, Grandmasters of Funk, and back then Cash was doing skits, like Cash Money, Master Vic, Exotic Don, they would do skits, Grandmasters of Funk. And so I wanted to be a DJ. Summertime came in, I was at the Boys and Girls Club. I said, man, instead of just playing all summer, I'm gonna work and try to get a turntable. My mom had kind of gotten to the point of tired of supporting, my hobbies that I will hold on to for for a minute and then ditch. She's like, you got to earn this one. Went work.
Oh, wow.
Worked all summer, got one turntable, bro. I mean, have enough money for one turntable. I had to beg for the needle. I didn't know you had to buy the needle separately when you get a Tech 1200. And so, but I got that and I just learned how to scratch, man. And then started working with, I rap too. So, but I was definitely better at DJing than rapping. So I just started working with a bunch of MCs and we did the same thing. Had a little group, started doing skits, had my first record when I was about 17 while in high school. We released the record.
Wow.
And yeah, man, that's what I did. And so I would be doing DJ battles. That's where my name actually comes from. Originally I was Cutmaster B and then doing a DJ battle.
Cutmaster B.
Yeah, man. And then doing a DJ battle, I did this thing called 100 cuts, just and when it was done, one of the OGs from New York who had moved into our neighborhood, he said, nah, man, your new name is Trigger B. And at that time, when the OG tells you that's your name, it's like, so and then later in life I just shortened it to Trig. But that's where the name comes from. That's what the neighborhood was like. Yeah.
Wow. Did you at the time, I remember DJ Jazzy Jeff kicking up dust around that time. Was that one of your did you have competition with him or?
I wasn't at that level. Nah,
okay.
Nah, I wasn't at that level. I'm not going to even play with you. I ain't going to hold you.
How long did you guys have the music? What was the music like that y'all was producing? Was it just party, kind of like the Fresh Prince stuff, or was it more like Schoolie D?
It was probably somewhere in between. It wasn't, we didn't curse or anything like that. But the boy who was rapping with me, Chad Money at the time, he now goes by not Black Thought. Gosh, what am I thinking? He's on the Def Comedy Poetry Slam tour now. Black Ice. Oh wow,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So Lamar, man, is just he's done so many things with his career, but yeah, because he's on tour opening for Mary, different people like that. And but it wasn't cursing. It was thoughtful. I would call it conscious. I think we were all big Public Enemy fans.
Oh, got you.
And while it wasn't as quote unquote militant, it was conscious. You know what I mean?
It was like the Roots.
Right, somewhere in there. And it's funny because we definitely did some things with the Roots before this was back when they were called the Square Roots, you know what I mean? And so before they got big. So yeah, Philly was a great place, man. You had Tough Crew, you had the Roots, you had Jeff and Prince, you had Schoolie D, you had Steady B, you had Cool C, the whole It was I didn't
know I heard Cool C and his boys robbed a bank. I didn't know.
I heard that, man. I never I'm not sure it was truly verified by everyone.
I read an article recently doing research on you in Philly. Yeah. It was true, bro. And I was like, I didn't know, put two and two together, that the glamorous life, I remember that song like it was yesterday.
I know, right?
But I didn't remember. Right. I didn't put two and two. I was like, that dude robbed the bank.
I know, man. Bad contracts turn into bad behaviors. pushes you
Yeah.
into rough places. Yeah.
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 Did you always say like, okay, I'm DJing, we doing music now, this can go somewhere, or was in the back of your mind, I'm gonna still do college, or I'm gonna do school and stuff like that? Like,
Oh yeah, I
was
wanted
it?
to go to school. Yeah, I was so and you know how you get one of your teachers in high school to ask you what you want to be when you grow up? We had an
Yeah.
English teacher like that, and I said I wanted to be a uh disc jockey. Like I wanted to be on their personality. And so she challenged us to go meet someone who's in the field you want to be in. I went to WDAS in Philly and met Doug Henderson. Bro, he was so good, bro. Like he
Wow.
solidified it. And then after high school, I went to Temple for 2 days to do because my financial aid fell through. So
Oh, got you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. So okay. So once what did you tell your boy, man? Like, yo, man,
Hmm.
this is just a situation. I'm about to do something else. And how did he take it? Like, because that could be something like you're in a group with people and then you go in a different direction. That could be something.
I forget why we actually disassembled, man. Like we had him, and then my boy Mark was rhyming for a while. We had another group, did another record, and then I did some stuff with a group called Urban Assault. I started producing. So after I started DJing for a while, man, I got me a Roland W30, bro. That was my favorite
Drum
DAW. Like we
machine.
didn't even. It
Yeah.
was a keyboard,
Oh, keyboard. Okay.
You didn't call them DAWs back then. It was just a keyboard that could do some
Yeah.
drums
Was
and
that a
stuff.
sampler too? Did it
The
sample?
sample too,
Okay.
bro. I
Okay.
did so
Okay.
many tracks on that keyboard, man, and start producing for different groups, and then yeah, they left. I got out of high school. During the time I was in high school, I lost my father. My father drifted
Oh,
away.
wow.
One day I came home from school, like he just didn't come home. One night becomes 2 nights, becomes 3 nights, become a week, and finally I had to move back in with my mom because dad wasn't coming home. This was like the first semester of high school. And honestly, I dropped out of school for a minute trying to work my after school job, turn it into a full-time job to try to support myself
Yeah.
and my grandmom. And that, of course, failed miserably. So I moved back home and then, got out of high school and the communication thing didn't happen. So then I went and just started
Wow.
working, you know what I mean? Work overnight valet gigs, work parking lot gigs, whatever it took. And then figures, out over time, I better find a real job. So I went to Computer Learning Center to become a programmer.
Yeah.
So, and then after I got out of school, decided I didn't want to be a programmer.
Wow.
And then faith wise, what was happening at the same time, man, is I think, when young kids lose their father, you're trying to figure out how to fill a void without knowing you're trying to figure out how to fill a
Yeah.
void.
Yeah.
And so for me at that time, we grew up in a household of faith, but it was kind of like Jesus wasn't at the center solidly. It
Gotcha.
was kind of,
Gotcha.
and so it was easy for me to drift. And what I saw strength in for men was Nation of Islam.
Oh,
So
wow.
I went to the Nation, man. Probably was about 18, bruh. When nobody better, I don't care what anyone says, selling bean pies and final calls, bruh. I had it locked.
Really?
Bruh, because I worked at Today's Man, okay? So I had
Okay.
access to suits at a cheaper price. So I had my suits, my bow ties, bro. I used to have this, like when I really wanted to sell some papers, bro, I had this green suit with this green bow tie, bro. I'd be on the corner. I got your bean, I got your read, what you need, ladies, all day, all day, all day.
Was you like Malcolm X, like in front of the church, as soon as the people come out, like, look,
Nah.
this is the
I wasn't controversial. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't adversarial that way.
Yeah.
I would pick a spot like when you're coming off the highway and you
Oh,
gotta
got you.
come to that light and everyone's gonna be stopped there for a while. Like on average, you're gonna be there for 3 lights because it's so heavy. Yeah, I'm walking up and down. You know what I mean?
What
You
was
need
it?
to learn,
Okay.
you need to eat.
What was it? What was it that was attractive? And what did you see that they do very well that attract black men? You know what I mean? I had somebody, I had Plain James on there, and I asked him the same thing about the trap. I was like, why does drug dealing trap catch people like that? What is it? What do the Nation of Islam do to black men to just bring them in easily? You know what I mean?
Yeah. At that time, well, first of all, there was an era of the Nation where they would come up on the corner and grab you and throw you in the back of a van and take you down to the mosque. Like there was a time, bro, in mosque number 12 in Philly, they would just grab you. But I think what you saw was one, they were neat and clean.
Yeah.
right? Like there was a glaze almost. You know how when woman is pregnant, you can tell like, wow, there's a light on her. Like, you know, that's how they were. One, right? Nice greased hair, cut, whatnot, dressed nicely, right? That doesn't hurt. And then the discipline of the eating once a day, only eating fish for some, right? And so you can see their fitness. And when you see a couple people go through changes like that, you said, well, there must be something there. And then you go check out a service and you see, you know, cats on post, right? You see them walk in and step in. You hear about the training. And then if you know, accept and you go through the training process of what you have to learn, it's not optional. These are the things you must learn. These are books you must read, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
When you're undisciplined, or again don't have a father figure, somebody kind of impressing those things upon you, it attracts something. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That structure.
Yeah. So even with that discipline, like I think the question for some people is because like sometimes they get a lot of hard rocks off the street, and we're not hard rocks, but like street dudes, thugs. And to me, it'd be like it's so easy for them to run away from Jesus, but they'll run to that. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, and I was talking to my wife about this recently. I was like, it's so many people that leave the faith for Islam, or they leave the faith for other religions that is more like law based, you know what I mean? And how Jesus says, like, I fulfilled the law. I, you know, like you still have to like love me and you obey the law, like, and trust in me, put my faith in me. And I think the question is like, why like why the law? Like why do people really, especially like people in the streets, why do all of a sudden it's like, yo, I need to follow everything this person's saying versus just like, let me just trust the Lord. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I have 100% answer to that question, but I still think it's almost like, why do cats join a gang? I will,
you know that's gonna be controversial. Somebody gonna watch this, gonna be like, Islam is not a gang, brother.
No, it's not. But it's the same thing of when you hear cats tell their stories of, you know, I wasn't accepted here, but I was accepted on the block in the gang, right? Think about what they're saying. Accepted. Accepted, trained, right? In the ways of whatever. And I think that's a big part of it. They had a model that indoctrinated you and brought you into a structure of must-dos. So it's not like you can come to Sunday service at your church. No, you are coming to the mosque.
Wow.
Right? It's not, right. You can come to the 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. and you can, you know, we hope you tithe today. No, you are coming. You are making your contribution. You are going to Fruit of Islam training, right? This when your lieutenant tells you this is what's happening this Saturday, it's yes, sir.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's same thing when you go to a national conference, like my first national conference in New York. You get there, and I remember one of them. I can't remember if it was the Supreme Captain or someone said, "We're buying the leader." I think it was a bulletproof limousine this year, and so every fruit is going to need to ante up whatever it was. It wasn't if you can.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I guess another question is like, then why is it still, do you feel like it's appealing to, like, you know, so many rappers saying I'm with the nation, I'm a Muslim now, I'm this, I'm that, but they still doing street stuff. They still doing rapping about the same thing, still doing that. Do you feel like Islam what does it do that is attracting rappers, but rappers still are the same? You know what I'm saying? They may have a positive song here and there, but they still talking destruction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I'm not sure about, but I mean, I think if you look across any religion or worldview centered grouping and whatnot, I mean, we still just find places where humans are humans and not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like
got you.
Us, Catholic Church. I mean, you could take all the different gradients within Christian, and then you could go from thing to thing, and we find no perfection. Only Jesus is perfect.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
We striving.
Yeah. Did I guess another question is it something when you see it, that it's of course it's like you said, is attractive, but was it something that other like you was it easy for you to witness to other men in Islam? Like, yo,
Oh
do
yeah,
the you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was it like just like a cast in your net and a bunch of fish coming?
yeah. It was because there's something, man. You're making me think back, but I recall just talking to different, men I knew, and actually a brother from my high school that I went to, who was a year in front of me, became the secretary of the mosque, and then the captain of our high school football team was there too. He became a minister, and I just remember a lot of the conversations being around understanding the Quran. And it wasn't until years later that I really understood some of the parallels and some of the distortions between when you compare the Quran and the Bible. But at that time, I remember the sense of surety that
Mm,
people felt about what they were learning. That was a big part of it too. This
mm,
sense of surety, right? That Master Farad Muhammad is coming back with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to get I forget what the numbers are, 66,000 or whatever, right? I mean,
yeah.
that sense of surety that they felt and feeling as if it's a shame these other people don't get that. It's a shame them good Christians don't get it. Man,
Wow.
it's a shame.
Wow. The
It's
deaf,
a
dumb,
sh-
and the blind.
right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. But
Wow.
thank God I got saved, bro, because, bruh, I mean, there was, thank God, bro.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God for that. I just it's fascinated about people's lives and hearing what drew them into stuff like that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like even to the because kind of like unfortunately kind of like Christianity where
Mhm.
we have different sets. It's
Yeah.
almost like Islam has the same thing, And I think going back to I remember Malcolm X movie when he finally went to Mecca and he started seeing white
Mm-hmm.
Muslims, he started seeing other Muslims. Was
Yeah.
that something for you too, where it was like we all in here black, 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 but then there's other Muslims, or was you not a part of stuff where it was like calling out the white man and all this other stuff?
So one again, I'm not an adversarial dude, so I was never calling people out like that or things like
Yeah.
that. I was probably more the nerdy type where I just kind of wanted to learn, learn, learn. I do remember what made me leave, and I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail because
Okay. Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
just because hey, I'm not trying to be a target.
Okay, okay.
but but
Nah.
but I'll just explain the situation. I remember um being on post. Being on post means like doing a service. You're one of the guys up front protecting the
Yeah.
minister, right? And watching over the. And I remember the minister saying something about like how it all ends. And he says something, and I remember saying to myself, I don't remember reading that. And I looked over and I was like, oh, I reminded I was on post. So afterwards, I go up to one of the leaders of the mosque. I'm like, hey, assalamu alaikum. Brother minister said, da 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 da. And I said, I don't see that in the Quran. He's like,
Mm,
brother, it's in the lessons. I said, okay. And he walked away. I was like, hey, ran back up to him. Hey, something like, let me ask you this again. Let me try a different way. My he what he said was this, and
yeah.
it's not in the Quran. And so, how do you add to that and put it in a study lesson? He's like,
Yeah.
brother, this is what Master Muhammad said. Elijah Muhammad, the leader, which at the time, Minister of Farrakhan, bruh. That sent me on like a truth quest.
Oh
And
wow.
if I couldn't prove out what he was saying in the Quran and the surahs, etc., it was a wrap. I think I told them 2 days later I'm out
Wow.
because what they were talking about was so, for lack of better terms, egregious that yeah, I was out, and I was in that phase for a while. That I know there's a God. I'm not sure, who he
Yeah.
is, but I know there's a God. Now they even came to my house, you know what I mean? Because I was was a supporter secretary. I had a lot of responsibilities. They came and talked to me. Said, nah, I'm out. I'm good. I can't go with that.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
can't go
you
with
so
that.
you so leaving the nation, you became agnostic,
I
basically.
became like, I believe there's a God. And you gotta remember, I was still raised in a Christian household. So I had the roots,
Got you.
you know what I
Got you.
mean? And so
Got
I
you.
started, it was funny, I started dating my wife, and probably, I don't know how far it was in, man. It was maybe 6 months to a year. And I started going back to church, kind of dabbling. I did go back to church, kind of dabble a bit. But she said, well, I mean, there's no sense in us hanging out for real until you figure out where you're going. Yeah, she did me.
That's a good woman of God.
Yeah, she's like, ain't no sense of us hanging out too much longer until you figure out, what you doing. You know what I mean? So I had to like, how you say you intend to do this and figure it out. It was always on the bottom of my priority list. So I had to raise it to the top of my priority list and start paying attention and saying, okay, cool. And I started going to her church for her, where she went. Her mother was a minister, and so I started going there, man, and enjoyed it, and wound up, falling back in love with the faith, but now at a deeper level and really knowing Jesus for myself, you know what I'm saying? And so, yes, man. Yeah. Now, the thing was, I was still producing secular hip hop during the whole time.
I was about to ask that. Do you feel like at the time, the reason why Islam was getting a big boost was because you had Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian, Public Enemy? Was that the soundtrack that was making it? Because
no doubt. Public Enemy, bro.
Yeah.
We would do security at the Public Enemy events.
Oh yeah. Chuck D, he was good at putting in stuff inside of his music that when you go back and listen to it, I was like, oh wow, he's like a billboard for the nation of Islam. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was the biggest.
And Brand Nubian. I was listening to I forgot the name of the song. And they were rapping, and then they started talking about the church, and I think the Lord was like, bro, listen to what he's saying. And I was like, oh wow, so this is like why so many black men, especially from where we from, because I'm from East Orange, New Jersey, so New Jersey, Philly, why I was so like adamant going back and forth with Christians or the church, because people were putting in their music like the church is fraud. The church don't know what they're talking about. They deaf, dumb, and blind. They, you know what I'm saying? Kind of vibe. So, yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So, okay. So at that time, what was your turning point for you to stop making secular beats for people? Like, what was it that like made you change your heart about that?
I really hate telling this story now, man. It should be a time that I kind of enjoyed this story, but now it's like, it's so sour now. You'll see why in a second. So I'm producing, I'm doing a lot, bro. I had gotten to the point where I was starting to try to work with Rush Producers Management, right? In that roster. Okay. I had produced a song on the soundtrack of that Larry Fishburne movie with the Spooks. I think I did 2 songs on that. And then and I was talking with Flavor Unit Management, like I was going to produce a song for Apache and somebody else. And then I had bet Heavy D at Latin Quarters. Like he's like, hey man, go talk to PD. Went to talk to P Rock. We never really got it going. But I was like right at that door, right? And so I'm producing these songs. I'm working on this Sprite commercial and a couple songs, and I moved my studio into my brother-in-law's store. They have a store in Philly. We were really cool. They're twins, Omar and Khalid. Shout out to Omar Khalid. And so I'm in there working on this track, and Omar comes down. He's like, hey, I got a friend upstairs who is, kind of overhearing you work on these tracks. He asked if he could just come down and check you out. He comes down. I said, sure. He comes down. He's listening, bobbing his head. He starts walking out, and he turns and says to me, you do some dope tracks. It's just a shame it's not for the Lord. And I say, I'm sorry, what, man? He said, yeah, you do some dope tracks, bro. It's just a shame it's not for the Lord, and walks out.
Wow.
I'm like, Omar, check your boy. Check your boy, man. So Jeremiah, man. I mean, but that night, the conviction set in. Like that night, man, I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, you may not be saying the words, but you're providing the soundtrack.
Oh.
And I was like, wow.
You're the getaway driver, basically.
Wow. Next day, I came in and called every group. You got a week to wrap it all up. I'm done producing second.
Wow.
So I told Omar, call your boy. I need to talk. Okay. Do you know who winds up being?
Who?
It's Phanatik from the Cross Movement.
Wow.
He comes back. He brings Deuce. He brings Cruz, and I think Juan. And they came down, and I told them what I stopped doing. I remember Deuce turning and saying, I want you to profess before men why you've made this change. Bruh, I think I cried. I think I I was broke, man. And so that's why me and Phanatik have always been so close, man. He was a dude who just provoked me that way. And so
Wow.
after that, you're in that weird phase of, okay, what do I do now? I just said I'm not gonna produce secular music. What does that mean? I
Yeah.
didn't know they were Christian rappers. Like, I just knew this was the guy that confronted me. So they
Yeah.
invited me just to hang out with them, and I just hung out. I think that year, I remember, like, the Sixers were playing the Lakers in the finals or something. They invited me over. We just had pizza and just talked. And then the next thing I know, they're playing one of their songs. I'm like, that's y'all? And they're like, yeah, they recorded this place called the Bird's Nest Studio in West Philly. They let me come and hang out, and they're recording at that time the album Heaven's Mentality, right? Yeah, Blood Spiller, all them joints. And so that was literally, man, how I got introduced to Christian hip hop like that. I mean, I had kind of heard, maybe it was around the same time I found like a gospel gangster CD or something like that. But the real was the Cross Movement.
Wow. That's an amazing story, bro.
Yeah.
Regardless of what Phanatik at now.
Right. You're right. I still, every now and then, we still talking. I'm still like, you're that guy, right? Who,
yeah. But what's so funny? I feel like him saying that to you changed the course of your life to the point where we're sitting here today. You know what I mean? Bruh. And I think sometimes for Christians that's living on the fence, sometimes it's not even a deep theology talk. It's just, man, it's a shame, man. You make dope records. It's a shame.
How about that, bro?
Yeah.
No scriptures quoted, no theological, profound statements. Just literally said, you do some dope stuff. It's just a shame it's not for the Lord. And then turn to walk out. That's the part that was, it was so like disrespectful. Like, you gonna say that and just turn your back? And then when I said what you say, not elaborate, just literally repeat it. I said, you do some dope stuff. It's just a shame it's not for the Lord. And proceeds to walk up the steps. Bro, like, check your boy.
But I mean, honestly, I think that's what sometimes some people need. They just that was like a voice from the Holy Spirit, like just talking to you, because that's convicting. So okay, so now you meet Cross Movement, right?
Right.
What was that? I mean, the early years. I mean, I remember I got on the Cross Movement like really late. I got onto them brothers like House of Rep. I got on them on House of Representatives, and then I remember listening, and I remember hearing Human Superstar, and I'm like, whoever's rapping on Human Superstar, if he need a solo project, because he's really good, you know what I mean? But like, talk about that time. Talk about what was it like in Philly, because I remember I heard something where it was like the reason why they were so theology deep was because what you just talked about with the Nation of Islam and 5%ers or different things of that nature.
Right. I remember like I never felt like they were trying to like overly convince me of anything versus just let me be around.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I remember like sitting in the car with Cruz, and either he was driving or I was driving, but and then just like conversations about God would come up, and Cruz was Bible deep. You dig what I'm saying? And he would expound on things and whatnot. But they just let me hang around, man. And for me, it was, oh wow, hold up. There's actually some cool dudes look like me, want to play like me, hang out, but they're committed to God at this level.
That's good.
Like they could almost, most of the things they did, even just hearing them talk about, maybe, going to Bible college and things like that, and the whys of it and things like that. And, at that time, having come from secular and watching cats perform or make money, and watching them say, well, we're going, it's a performance, but we're ministering.
Yeah.
And here's the point we want to get across, and watching any of them, particularly Deuce, how he opened or how he thoughtfully shared a word in the middle of the concert and things like that, man. It was like to your point, it's almost like a masterclass. And so I got to watch him hang, and then I got to watch now Emmanuel, but at that time the Truth come into the fold. And then just watch that circle kind of grow between the Truth and then R. Swift, and start meeting different people like that. I mean, Swift used to come to the crib and every now and then, and we a couple work on things, and that Philly circle is just growing, you know what I mean, over time. Yeah. So it was really dope, man. It was really dope.
Yeah. Was like did you feel like you saw the progression of their music in each project?
Oh
Or did you
yeah,
feel like these guys are just dope in general? Or did you feel like they got better over the time?
they were dope in general, but they got better over time. When you listen to the, I think the substance was always good, but the substance became. I think Wells likes to say this sometimes, like when you refer to that passage in the Bible, it talks about those men understood the times.
Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
felt like that's how they walk. Like when you look at House of Reps,
Yeah.
from the songs and even from the album, right? The idea of above the table they have on these suits to
Yeah.
be visually appealing to one audience, but under the table they got on sneakers and
In
shorts.
shorts. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those things were
Yeah.
thoughtful decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How the House of Reps open, the things they talk about, and then to go to human emergency and
Yeah.
declare an emergency. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And here's what's happening to humans. And, same thing with the cover, right? With the
Yeah.
medical things on and whatnot.
Yeah.
The symbolism, the substance, the sonic quality kept increasing, right? Along with tech and everything. And I think they were meticulously on mission, right? If you ask me to sum them up in the phrase, I would say meticulously on mission. They would, to me, from my observation, think about deeply everything they were going to do and how it laddered up to doing certain things. And for some people, I know for some people who watch this and say, well, they were all so exclusionary. They didn't let me in, this, that, and the third. I'll go, look, yeah. I didn't rap with them either. Right. I don't think I was.
My tracks didn't get no play.
I didn't have to listen. I wasn't good. I would argue and easily say I wasn't good enough to be on the project at the quality levels they expected. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
when Phanatik did his solo album, The Incredible Hulk, I produced 2 tracks on that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, I think some of that was relational too. Like, I'll be honest. Like, he at that time you had Todd Bangs, you had a slew of producers he could choose from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just think sometimes one of the things we can do is be hypercritical or have our feelings hurt because we feel like someone doesn't accept us, or just expect because we all are wearing the same uniform that I should be able to play too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should just be able to play too. I'll wear the uniform. I got the Christ uniform on. Nah. We got to think a little deeper than that.
But I do say this, Trig. I think my only thing about that is because I love cross movement. I was a big fan of their stuff. I still got majority of stuff on CD.
Yeah.
I think the difference between Christian hip hop then and now was kind of not the collab, not the looking like everybody together. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, and I said this to some young Christian hip hoppers who are kicking up dust now. I said to them, I feel like God sees the unity with you guys. Right. And regardless of if you spit in theology rap, if you spit in street rap, if you spit in whatever, like as long as it's giving God glory and y'all collabing and y'all loving on each other and you worried about each other and like you really look like the church, God could be like, I can elevate this. You know what I'm saying? Like I can make moves with this.
Right.
And I feel like back then, even though we had some dope artists, like you said, the cross movement, gospel gangsters, grits, or different people, the fact Tunnel Rats, the fact that people were like disagreement about stuff that if it wasn't like negotiables, I guess you could say, like the non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables,
yeah. If that's not the case, if it's past that, then it's like you still my brother or sister in Christ. Like what's going on? You know what I mean?
And I think that was true in most cases, right? Now there was always the cross movement Tunnel Rats thing, right? That's just that was just a deep. And I think that would surface every now and then, right? Where you always would have those arguments. And I stayed clear of those arguments, man. I just didn't think it was, I stayed clear of that, bro. I just, even today, that whole, but here's what I would say. Even today, to your point, I think Hank Hanegraaff, he used to have a show called The Bible Answer Man. And he used to always at some point in the show say, there's certain things we can debate over, but don't need to divide over.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to keep top of mind. Like, we may not agree on certain things and whatnot, but like, if we're talking about, so let me take it this way. Just let me be pro cross movement, and then let me be con cross movement for a second.
Okay.
Pro cross movement is I am running a ministry called Cross Movement Ministries. And and literally it's Cross Movement Ministries, right?
Yeah.
DBA, the Cross Movement, and then the Cross Movement label and whatnot. And our objective, and I can never articulate this fully the way I think any of them would, though, is to invade culture with the gospel. And to do that, we have to be solid. So solid that I'm going to Bible college, another member's going to Bible college. We want to be able to not just stand on the word literally, but also on paper. We want to do the things that validate us. So in that path, we also have to be cautious to do things that don't dilute the strength of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I do have to check things out to make sure said partnership with you. And that's, I'm going to use the word partnership on purpose, because I think there's a difference between, like you said, just a collab versus we're partnering to deliver a sermon over wax.
Yeah.
I need to make sure our statements of faith line up. Like I need to make sure I know where you're going. I mean, right? Yeah, it's just like if you're a pastor of a church, do you just invite a pastor in because you heard him spit a hot 16? Or do you say, hold up, before you can talk to my flock?
Yeah, that's real. What's your theology like? Yeah.
What's your theology? Yeah. What are you doing next week? What will you be doing 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Just saying. Now, the con side is, I would say what other people will probably say is, well, you could have probably said that to people sometimes a little nicer.
Yeah. 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 But I agree with that. And I think the presentation of it, where some guys were like, I am an artist. I do not put lecture. I'm not a pastor. I'm a rapper.
Right.
And my art is the glory of God. Right. I'm going to rap about everything the word of God talks about. The word of God talks about love. I'm going to rap about love. It talks about how to be a good husband. I'm going to rap about that. It talks about how I should treat my wife. I'm going to rap about that. It may not be John Piper-ish type stuff or deep theology, but I am still a man of God, and I still make sure that the scriptures are in my joint. You know what I'm saying? In my music. So, you know what I mean? But I think at the time, I mean, I just remember just seeing so much back then that I was just like, man, I wish this wasn't like this. You know what I mean? Like
it can feel overbearing a little bit. Yeah. But I think we've gotten to a better place, man. I think now it's like, man, amen. Praise the Lord for you, bro. If that's what God's called you to do, praise the Lord for you.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord for you.
Okay. Do you feel like cross movement could work today?
In what sense?
Like musically, like, do you feel like the people who create, and I'm not even talking about like musically, like East Coast beats. I'm saying like the style, the theologic, like imagine cross movement meets. I mean, that's what Reach Records was like almost like now, like what would that look like? You know what I mean? If that style was like popular in Christian hip hop today, you know what I mean?
I have no idea, man. That's a really good question. I have no idea. And part of the reason I have no idea, I think, is because we haven't seen a great working example yet.
Gotcha.
And different. So let's start with somewhere it works. It works well for, and man, I'm so sorry to see his announcement today. Like Billy Joel, he's got to cancel his tour because he's got some medical issues. So he's canceling all the shows. But prior to that, think of how long Billy Joel's been at it, 30, 40 years, right? Everything from Uptown Girl to, you know, for the longest time, and keeps dropping songs and carries his audience with him while always adding to that audience, right?
Yeah.
Country music, same thing. Garth Brooks, Kenny Chesney, different people, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it in our space yet, and arguably our genre is still fairly young.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's still fairly. So you can say, okay, it started at the same time hip hop did 50 years. Still, right? It's still fairly young relative to rock and roll or country or anything like that. And we haven't demonstrated yet. What's the word I'm looking for? We haven't demonstrated yet a desire to preserve the legacy.
Yeah.
Holistically, like you've got cats like Darius West who did a great job with the Mic Drop movie. You've got, you know, Jay Williams, bless his heart. You know what I mean? In terms
God bless Jay Williams.
But overall,
and Darius West,
overall, there isn't a sense of it's important to preserve the legacy of CHH and those who founded it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to answer your question because right now there's just no through line of that kind of sentiment. So unless you sound like today in total, I think you're gonna struggle. Like, and I think you would have a hard time. I could be totally wrong about this, but I think you could have a hard time of assembling the audience who used to be. Like Billy Joel doesn't have a hard time activating his audience of who used to be. He has no problem with that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. It's the same. It's the same way. It's the same reason. Like the old rock and roll cats can go. You're like, what? Who going on tour? And they'd be like 5 bands who, like, you know what I mean, been doing this for 3 or 4 decades. They have no problem going on tour.
Yeah.
Try to put together now a tour of Cross Movement, PID, Michael Peace, who just dropped a new song. I would love to see what you could sell out.
Yeah. Because I guess the question also too is like, where all those people that was supporting Cross Movement, was supporting the PIDs, supporting, you know, the Michael Pieces of the world, like where are they at now? And do they value? Have they outgrown Christian hip hop? Because that's another question that I'm starting to see what people was like. I think I seen something where I would say Preston Perry. I think he was talking about something, and he was talking about how people started coming to the Poets in Autumn tour, and he was like how they were like Christian hip hop fans because they were like, of course, seeing them on P4CM and stuff, but then also like how they felt like they were a little bit more mature for Christian hip hop, and it was like almost like that was my youth, you know what I mean? I need something a little bit more mature, and now they're going to that because they feel mature, you know what I mean?
That's
so I think what you just said is like real. It's like, how do you find those people who want to invest in a Cross Movement tour, a Grits tour, a T-Bone, like if these people went back out, how would they? Who would come to them? Because some of these people, either they're extremely old, and another thing too is they haven't passed down the music to their kids. When you talk about Billy Joel, whoever met Billy Joel in 1970s or 1980s passed that music down to their kids. So that's where you say your kids can go to the Philly Spectrum, or I don't know if they still call it that, but go there and he could sell out there where a kid that's 20 years old, like, I love that song. And he's like, that song came out in 1970. You know what I mean? Because their parents passed it down. You know what I mean?
Now, I may be an odd entity, but I gotta believe there's more people like me. My son knows Cross Movement songs. Right? My son is 20 years younger than me. You know what I mean? He knows we'll be somewhere something and we'll be talking about something, and one of those things will come up. He knows Cross Movement songs. He knows Top Bang songs. He knows like all that era, right? Eshon Burgundy early stuff, Swift early stuff. I mean, he knows all those things because I was playing them all the time. And so I think it's actually it would be a good experiment for us to figure out, how do we find those fans of old, and how do we create a bridge to that next generation or two? That would be a dope experiment, man, to figure that out. And actually, like, you got me thinking about like Darius, with all the work that Darius did, bro. How do we? Because I'm a fan, man, I'm a fan of the genre, right? Just because of how it's touched my life, you know what I mean, and moved me, man. And I've seen it move so many. And I think a big part of our preservation of the genre has to be the full lineage of the genre.
And even going back to having respect even for the people that you didn't grow up on, because I think a lot of people, not unfortunately, a lot of people start with Cray, which isn't a bad starting point, but it's people before Cray, and I think for them, they don't like, I don't know why, but they're like, nah, I'll just stick with Lecrae and forward. And it's like, there's a lot of dope rappers from before Lecrae got on, and you know what I'm saying, like, that y'all just need to check out, you know what I mean, that put in work, you know what I mean, that laid the groundwork for him to be the person that we see today, you know what I mean.
Some of it could be too, man. I mean, I'm totally, I have no data to back this up, but one of the things that comes to mind is, you know, when we were growing up, I think every generation says my generation of music was the best. Okay.
Yeah.
You say your parents like your stuff was old. But if you think about when we were growing up, I don't know about you, bro, I got into stuff from my mom's generation. Like, I started listening to James Brown and the Spinners and all them joints. Like, I got a playlist like James Brown and all those cats, man. What's the boy, Bootsy Collins, all that, right? But you know what? This was all at a time when you had a much more limited catalog. You had access to the record CDs, dare I say 8-track tapes. My dad had and cassette tapes in the crib. You didn't have streaming where you type in a few letters and get anything.
Yeah.
You only had what you could buy that week and the stuff you previously had. So I think some of that limited access also created a little bit more consumption of that catalog that was available to you. You know what I mean? So now you have a generation that's much more fluid, right? Probably takes a little bit longer time to make them a fan of any particular artist versus a number of things. You know what I mean? Like the dynamics have changed a lot. So
and another thing too is they just don't like hip hop. They like other genres of music too.
Indeed.
Yeah. We're from an era where like and
we lived hip hop.
we're from an era where it was like you was either a hip hop head or R&B head, or you was a reggae head. You was like you was like kind of segregated to where you were. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then it was some people where like I grew up in East Orange where we had Hot 97, so we heard hip hop and R&B. So, but at the same time, some stuff wasn't just like I remember literally like people driving and you just hearing a hip hop song where they driving and that dude like reggae and he's only playing reggae dance hall type music. So it's like their genre they kind of started blending stuff together into like the 2000-ish kind of vibe where it was like the TRLs was showing different types of genres of music. That people started going like, oh, I could like rap and pop. I could like that song or that song. You know what I mean? So they're a little bit different than how we were. Like how we were like, okay, I'm a hip hop head and I only listen to hip hop. I may listen to a little bit of R&B here and there, but I am definitely hip hop
head and hardcore, bro. I remember the day It Takes a Nation of Millions, the whole from Public Enemy came out, that album.
Yeah,
bro. I cut school early.
Yeah,
to go to the record store to get the album, and thinking I'm gonna be ahead of everybody, bro. I wasn't the only one to cut school. Like we were in the record store, like why are y'all here? You know what I'm saying? I thought I was the only one who's gonna cut school early to the album, and then you get home and listen to the whole album while you're reading the cover. You're like reading the cover.
Yeah, that's investment.
Keith Shockley. Oh, you know what I mean? The Bomb Squad did it again. You know what I mean? Like you just reading the whole. The whole experience was a little bit different.
And that's what's missing for them, because I remember and going back, mine for you was Public Enemy, for me was Biggie. So I'm looking at Life After Death, I'm listening to it and reading the credits. Oh, this is a sample of this. He produced this person produced that. Puff produced this with Stevie J, or this person produced that. RZA produced this. You know what I mean? Like and being fascinated just with a booklet, a cassette booklet.
Fascinated, bro.
Yeah. And I think that's what the reason why that respect of what you said music was, because our generation, I could say I'm part of that generation too. I'm probably an older millennial. We looked at credits. We respected who did what. Even if you sample somebody, dude, that comes from that dude dope, because
that exactly, bro. I mean, I even read the thank yous, bro.
I did too.
I read the thank you. And then if it was a group, they would have each person individually thank you. Yeah. Going through like, oh, he thanked. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
All right, crazy. So all right, so how did you get from, I know this is a long trail, I'm sorry, going from cross movement to now Holy Culture? Like, did the album Holy Culture do something to you to say, I want to start something with that title?
Nah. You know what happened? I still had the radio bug, even though I didn't get into college and to do it. And so me and Old Diggity, Omar, my brother-in-law, used to go about Old Diggity, started talking about doing like a radio show. And so we found an AM station over in Camden, New Jersey, right on the bridge, that we could rent time. And so we would rent time on Friday nights at like from 11 to 12 or something like that. And we started doing a show, and Baradox would come hang out. Neophyte Music would come hang out. I mean, we just had a posse of people who come hang out every now and then, do interviews, and we started doing that. And so, and this is when like podcasting was not a thing. Like you could do a podcast. I'm not even sure we called it a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And so Vic has started Holy Culture and heard it and reached out and was like, hey man, I'm doing this thing over here, Holy Culture Radio, which was like really podcasts. Why don't you come? And I think at that time it was him, DJ Delight, I think may have had a show at that time. Wado had a show. Chris Chicago had a joint. Oh my God, what's in the ham sandwich? Sean Slaughter. And I came over, and come to find out, me and Vic lived like 20 minutes from each other. And so
wow.
We're like, hey, why don't you come over for dinner? Me and him and his wife chopping it up, and we developed a really great friendship. He's like, and I was sharing ideas I had around holy culture. He's like, bro, why don't you be a partner? And I became a partner, bought in, and we were 50-50 partners. And then that was probably about 2008. And then Vic decided a few years later he was ready to hang it up. And so at that time, Anonymous, who ran illspot.net, joined, and he was down to collapse illspot into holy culture. We did that transition, did that for a while, and then I got busy with corporate work for a while, man. Like I was a senior vice president at JP Morgan Chase, and then I went to be president of a division of Allstate Insurance, and like holy culture was on life support, bro. I mean, it was.
Oh, wow.
I mean, anybody says like y'all went away for a while, we did. I mean, I was like, it was horrible. And then God spoke, bro. It was like, it's time for you to, like, you've done the corporate thing, you've been on diversity councils, helping mentoring people, doing all the good things, but like, it's time for you to go back and do this. And I argued with the Lord for a while. And finally, like in 2018, left the corporate space to do it full time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically you've had different partners at work with you, and then they like, hey, Trig, you got it, bro. I'm gonna back out. Like
life transitions.
Yeah, life transition. Like how do you do that? Like how do you deal with that in ministry, man? Like for somebody watching this, like, man, I was in business with somebody for a couple years. We was in ministry together, and then all of a sudden they decided like God's taking them in. How can I handle this by myself? You know what I mean? What do you tell the people like that?
Well, I mean, one, don't do what I did the first time, which is which is thinking you can handle it by yourself. Like if it was a 2-person shop, it becoming a 1-person shop, and your capacity hasn't increased is crazy.
Got you.
Like unless your capacity is drastically increased, why would you think you could do what 2 people did, right? Volunteer army, and so I would say, one of the things that I would tell anyone looking to do this is find like-minded individuals who share the same mission and see how you work together, right? Under the same banner. I think as long as we, one of the things that seems to hold us up sometimes is the branding. Like who brands, like I want to build my brand, right? And I remember saying this to, when they had the South, who was it? It was Z and,
was it Bro? No one, Bro.
You remember the white? No, Z and it wasn't Trey 9, right? No,
it was Trey 9.
It was Trey 9. I remember we were in Chicago once, man. Me, Z, and Trey 9, and Scott Free may have been there. And I told them, I was like, hey, man, if it makes sense for us to collapse effort so we deliver more to the community, I'm down. And we even kicked around the name. We were like, what if we called it The Culture? Like we take the from the South and culture from holy culture, we just call it The Culture, and we even played it all out. We just never wound up doing it. Obviously, Z stopped doing the South and all that, so it didn't come together. But I think when you can have conversations with people like that who are swimming in the same direction, those are some of the best conversations to have. Because if it's for the Lord, if it's for spreading the gospel or whatever mission you define, then that should be the thing that catapults the conversation.
Got you. Okay. So was that the same thing where it was like you going from a kind of like a website podcast to now being on Sirius? Was that the same way? Like, hey, let's try to partner with these people so we can get this message of the gospel, this message of Christian hip hop to the mainstream side. Honestly,
definitely. Like in 2010, around 2009, 2010ish, I think it was. I was in this thing where, I was still working, but I still had this like desire to see it be shared with more people. Like I couldn't believe, man, people really don't know this Christian hip hop thing is here. Like really, the thing is not here. They're like, that's an oxymoron. I don't get it. Oh, you mean like them kids who did a thing doing church service? Like, no. Like this is a legitimate The different subgenre, and we tried back in 2010 at SiriusXM. They didn't even call us for a conversation. It didn't work. And so that's one of the things I appreciate about what the Lord does is take you through journey of experiences that prepare you for what he's going to do. Because had I not had those next few jobs, I'm not sure I would have had the wherewithal to write the proposal I wrote in what is that, 2021 now. We just been on 3 years, so it must have been like late. Yeah, I think it was 21. And so, man, I'm thankful for the no's, to be honest with you. If I would have gotten some of the yeses I wanted along the way, this would have never come to be. Right. And so I'm thankful for the no's. And that's another word of encouragement I would share with people. Like, if you're letting the Lord order your steps, sometimes we're good with that as long as the answers to our questions are yes. And if you're truly trusting the Lord to order your steps, you're asking him to open the doors that should be open, but please close the ones that need to be closed for me. Right. And sometimes it's during this season, and sometimes it's overall. But like, man, trust his providence, And so yeah. And so when we went to SiriusXM, it was the same thing. It was like, could we, we were doing all the P&Ls and whatnot, forecasts on, trying to buy a station or something like that. And then I found out the window was open again for RPs at SiriusXM. I was like, well, I think that's less expensive and less capital intensive than trying to buy an FM station. And so let's give it a shot. I mean, we get the same result in terms of reaching a large group of people.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody that's like, man, I hear you saying you wanted to buy an FM station. What are some people like? What is some stuff that people got to know about possibly buying an FM station if they wanted to do one?
I think it's like any other business. You have to really know the financials and how the business works. Got you. I've been in a couple different businesses. I've been in the credit card business, right? So I understand the dynamics there. I've been in the insurance business. Wow, how different the dynamics are between those two businesses. In credit card business, the average person has 5 or 6 credit cards. That means I've got to spend money to convince you to take my credit card and to make it a primary card to make it worth the cost of acquiring you as a customer, right? So that's a whole different acquisition model, whole different retention model, whole different cash flow, various lines you're trying to make money on. You're trying to, get people to get late fees and things like that to make it all work out for a good P&L. In the insurance business, it's like, man, if I get you to buy auto and you have to buy an auto product, I could probably retain you 80% of the time. If I get you to take auto and home, I can get you to stay 97% of the time. 17 points difference if you take 2 products. You take auto, home, and life, you're never leaving me, right? So different business, right? And different understanding. And so I would just say it's the same thing with stations. You have to understand the capital it requires to get all the equipment, to keep the licenses, to keep the FCC stuff in order, to transmit, to advertise. What does it look like local versus regional versus national? What does it look like? What's your cost to acquire new customers? How long do new customers typically stay? What's the average price point they're going to pay for ads? Are they even interested in radio ads anymore? Or is it more about visual and surround sound? So it's just, I would just say, take the time to be a student, learn the business, and always do the numbers. One of the things that can happen with us, and I know I've been guilty of this at times, is our passion for delivering the gospel can be the thing that's leading us as we chase something. And we have to make sure we put that in this place and still be good with the business, because the passion won't pay the bills. Right. You got to have the business. Now, I'm also the person who will always say, I believe something one of my bosses used to say, which is your goal should be like just out of reach and not out of sight. So I think there's always a place to say, well, there will be some room in there where God will do his thing. Right. Like there's always got to be space where you say, look, God will show up. Like at the end of the day, it's not us. But that doesn't mean you let go of the accountability of being a good steward. And
I think that's one of the things that you still hear today, unfortunately, what people don't understand, going back into the Christian hip hop business, or everybody like, yo, man, do it for the love, do it for the gospel, do it for free. It should be free. And it's like, nah, man, it's cost.
This cost.
It costs Holy Coaches some stuff. It costs Kingdom Ox, Track Stars, all these other platforms to do stuff. People don't realize that, and they think people should do stuff for free. And it's like you, it's baffling that people still operate like that. When I hear people say, artists, show people, like people who put up shows and do shows
Yeah.
and different things, you be like free, like, you know what I mean? Especially if you somebody who this is your livelihood.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
Especially if it's
is,
your livelihood.
yeah,
Especially.
yeah,
Yeah. And I mean,
yeah.
go ahead, my bad.
No, and I think we about to go in the same place. Is like, you know, when if God is putting on your heart to say, okay, I'll do that for free, or I'll help you out some type of way. But to just automatic think this should be free because it's the gospel, it's just like just bad business, man. Like at the time, and then I know some people gonna be like, well, it's not about business. It's not, but at the same time, we know the difference between a quality product and somebody who don't take the time to put the time and effort into that product. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
and I think sometimes we could be very what's what I'm looking for? Certain words and terms become almost like triggering words and terms.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as you say, you know, it's a business, so I'm running like a business, some people may get offended. It's like, okay, let me say it differently to you. I need to make sure the ministry is sustained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so Holy Culture gives away a lot of stuff for free. Right. We're not charging you to look at the content on the site. We're not charging artists to have the artist pages. We don't charge you to submit your song. We don't make you to go through a promoter. And so actually, when it comes to artists, I'm not sure what we charge them for. We really don't. I mean, we do some things trying to get advertisers and things like that. But I think, one, every company's business model may be different in terms of the model that sustains them to stay in operation. Like, how disappointed would you be if Holy Culture went down today, right? And you no longer had this. I think about all the people who call and say we're blessing their lives and they didn't have this before then. If it went down tomorrow, would you say, well, how'd that happen? Oh my God, they were so irresponsible. Oh my God, you mean you let them walk up and just turn off your electric and stuff? You weren't paying the bills and whatnot, right? That's what you would say. That's what people are saying about Crozier Hospital down the street, who just had they had to file bankruptcy and almost closing. People are up in arms because in a certain radius of this area, they are the trauma hospital. And so, what councilmen and people are saying is, if you close that hospital, when the shooting happens on Friday night, they no longer come here within 2 miles. They gotta go, 20 minutes away. They're not gonna make it. So this may not be as drastic as that. But I think when you think about people and what they do and serving in ministry, just know that people are not. I want to say this positively, and obviously I can't overgeneralize, but people are not just doing it to do it; they're doing it to sustain. No one's making big salaries at Holy Culture. My team will tell you, they part of what they do here, even though they're paid, is ministry. Okay. Okay. You know what I mean? They're we're a nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? And so I can't speak for others like us, man. But I just think, I think. I always start with the premise that the gospel is given freely. And I want to make sure we can do that and do it well. But doing it well does have costs associated with it. We're in a building that we own. You know what I mean? We've got a studio here. We're transmitting. We got a rack of equipment. All those things, they unfortunately just cost money. Not everyone that helps with the stream of things going out have the same premise we have of we just want to give the gospel.
Yeah. That's real. That's a real thing, man.
Same thing for you guys. I mean, you guys produce a great show, man. Track Stars is such high quality. You guys are live. You're bringing in guests. I mean, you're doing a lot,
Yeah. And that room takes a lot of money. To sustain. And
y'all got high grade cameras. Y'all got y'all got them.
And that's because of Sean Tanner. Like he always makes sure we good on the visual standpoint, because that's one of his backgrounds is visual, like camera work and visuals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, man, it's to be it's to say this is real. It's like to be a trailblazer. It costs. To be somebody who been doing this for a long period. It costs, man. Like
it costs.
Yeah, and if you want, and honestly, if you want longevity, it costs.
Right. Here's what I would say though. The good news. I think the good news is most people in our space get that.
Yeah.
I would say that. I feel like different than years ago. I feel like not only has our music and whatnot elevated, I feel like our business sense and stewardship sense has elevated. And most people get it. It's just one or two every now and then that when they bite at your ankles that way, it is very it's very piranha like. You know what I'm saying? Like it really hurts.
Yeah.
When people come at you that way.
Yeah.
But you have if you look at it over the, you know what I mean, over a period of time, you're like, it's a low percentage.
Yeah. Facts. So Trig, man, what is the legacy for Holy Culture, man? What do you see years down the line for Holy Culture, man?
Whew. So wow, man, that's a big question, bro. I would say we've always had a roadmap of the things we thought needed to be true to be holistic and delivering.
Mm-hmm.
And podcast obviously is one of them. Digital radio, now Sirius XM. I think we have to go from virtual to some physical stuff, which means I do think we have to get back into events, and we're working on what that looks like. I've had an idea around it for a couple of years, and actually with the next couple of weeks, we're going to start a fundraiser around it. We're calling it the Reconnect. And the idea is that there is a chasm between faith and cultural relevance. And I believe all of us try to stand in that chasm. Like when I'm talking to someone who's not involved in what we do, I tell them that's what Holy Culture does. We stand in the gap between faith and cultural relevance, where people think it's one or the other. Either I'm walking in my faith or I'm cool in the hood. It's like, nah, we meet you right there in the middle to help you understand it's not either or.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's yes. And so, but I think we have to help make that reconnection. And so we're starting to design some things to partner with churches and communities, man, to get back out there, but not just an event where artists are rapping, where artists also then teach. And they teach youth. I mean, you have 7 out of 10 young girls who believe they're not worthy. You've got 50% of millennials who say I'm depressed half the time or all the time, right? Almost disabled and can't get out of bed, that kind of depression. You have suicide rates, and the number of suicides happening daily for those under 25 has never been higher. So you have all these things that happen, and you say, man, how do we fix that, right? I'm not saying this is a fix. I'm just saying it can be a part of the solution, which is they're searching for identity. Yeah. And in absence of fathers and absence of a bunch of different things, they will find it in influencers. Well, we should be the biggest influencers. Yeah. And so how do we help the church? Yeah. And how do we partner with the church so that we are the biggest influencers, that you turn to, like I always say, man, bro, if we lost power all around the country and the only buildings that got power back were churches, bro, we'd light up the country. Yeah. The density, right? Yeah. But how do we turn that into safe havens and places that kids not only say, I'm accepted there, but like, I want to hang out there. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And discipleship, mentorship is in place and whatnot. So that's what we design it, man. We're trying to design it, raise some money to do it. So that's one thing. I think the second thing is figuring out how we up our digital game and our mobile app. And we got some things around that we want to do to make it a more desirable, like insatiable mobile app. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I'll stop there. We got some other things, man. But I'll stop there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Trig, man, are you ready for your this or that version?
Oh, what is this, man? Here we go. Are you ready? Here we go. No, I don't know I'm ready, bro. I don't know I'm ready. I don't know.
All right, here we go. Trig, this or that edition. Here we go. The Fillmore or Theater of Living Arts?
Theater of Living Arts.
Theater of Living Arts. Okay. What was the saying back in the day? Keep your head on the swivel or handle your business?
Keep your head on the swivel. Keep your head on the swivel.
All right. South Street or Fishtown?
Oh, South Street, no doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tasty Cake or a Philly soft pretzel?
Oh man. I mean, this could cause division in my neighborhood right here, bro. This is a delicate question, bro. How did you come up with these, bro? This is so delicate. If you don't understand if you don't live in Philly, this is delicate, bro. This is like Tasty Cake was 2 miles from my house. Their factory, bro.
Oh wow, wow.
Oh my god, bro. I'm all right. So here's my rationale to all my Philly folks. I'm going to say, because we need to think about accessibility, the price point and accessibility to pretzels are more so. You get pretzels sometime at lunch, at high school, cafeteria,
Yeah.
different things. I'm gonna go with the pretzel.
Pretzel. Okay, you going to pretzel. All right. Allstate or JP Morgan?
In terms of what?
Working
My
like yeah,
I'm gonna say JP Morgan Chase because I worked there longer. I worked there 11
Okay.
years. I was at Allstate for 3.
Okay. Okay. We didn't get into this, but preparation for a book or preparation for a radio station?
Preparation for a radio station.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did kind of touch on this. Theological rappers from Philly or street Christian rappers from Philly?
Theological.
Okay. 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 Human Emergency or Holy Culture?
Ooh. Holy Culture, bro. I can't. I mean, come on. Come on. Vic did. That the name is inspired from that album. That's how Vic got to the company name, from that album.
Yeah. I should have said House of Representatives or Heaven's Mentality, but I think it would have been pretty. Yeah, I know, too late. Rap Fest or the Holy Hip Hop Awards?
Come on, bro. Man, you asking sensitive questions. Sheesh. I'm gonna say Rap Fest because I went there more often. Like I went there like almost every year. Yeah.
Got you. I honestly, I really want a Christian hip hop documentary. It's so much stuff that needs to be highlighted. That I heard about True Convention. I don't know if you bought True Convention. Heard about that, or it's so much stuff, man. And it could be on some like Hip Hop Evolution. Have you ever seen that on?
Oh yeah.
It could be just like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man. My final thing. Are you Christian rapper or rapper who's Christian?
Me personally?
No, which one do you prefer? I've asked other people this. That's like DJs, the other side. I was like, which one do you prefer?
I'm a skip, bro. I'm straight skipping. I told you I don't do that argument, man. I don't do it. I don't do
All
that.
Right, so Trig, since you can't answer it, just show the love of God to somebody for the rest of the week. Somebody that needs it, just show the love of God to somebody. Trig, thank you so much, man. This was so good, brother. Bro. Thank you so much,
Thanks
man.
for having me, man. I'm honored.
Tell everybody how to get in contact with Holy Culture, with y'all social media, everything, man.
Yeah, go to holyculture.net. Check us on SiriusXM channel 140 at Holy Culture on all the socials.
That's good, man. Kingdom citizens, thank you for watching Kingdom Mox on all the social media, and we are out.
Yeah.